Crossover SUVs are very popular nowadays, so it's unsurprising that competition is getting tougher every day. They simply get better, and this car right here is one of those cars that have definitely gotten better. This one right here is the Changan CS75 Plus. Today I'm going to show you around this car and I'm also going to give it a test drive, so stay tuned. The Changan CS75 Plus is one of the sportier looking SUVs out there. With extremely sharp and aggressive lines all over the hood and even on your grille, it simply does look rather menacing. Take a look at this grille and it will remind you of the spindle grille that Lexus has been using for quite some time now. If you look at this tiny chrome piece here at the center, it does connect the two full LED DRLs that this car has, and for your headlights you do also get full LEDs. You get fog lights down below, but the surrounds of the fog lights are made out of these like fake vents, but we can forgive them for that because of just how great they do look. A lot of red accents on this one to give it a little bit more sporty touch. And then when you go on over to the side of the car, the aggressive look does continue. You get so much more lines and creases on this one, all very sharp, semi-flared fenders, 18-inch rims wrapped in Hankook tires, but they do look a little bit small. So if you do want to upgrade this like 20 inches, you can probably do that and it'll still look pretty good. Your wing mirrors on this one, they are blacked out and also in this piano black, which is kind of weird because that will definitely scratch here outside, but they do come with repeaters though, and there's also a camera over there for your 360-degree view camera. If you take a look over here just below the wing mirror, there is also full carbon fiber and an S badge to denote a little bit more sportiness towards the car. Now if you look at this car more, you will notice just how big this is, because this car is actually one of the biggest in its class, and despite this being a compact SUV, it's actually kind of close to being a mid-size SUV. Going towards the back of the CS75 Plus, and it does really give some sort of a Euro car vibe. So these taillights right here, they are also LEDs and they look incredibly aggressive as well. Think if you do cover these edges on either sides of the tail lamps, and they will look like an Audi as well. Up top you do get a small wing made out of full carbon fiber, and your third brake lights are also there. You also get a rear wiper on this one, a reverse camera, as well as reverse sensors plus reflectors. Down way below are two legitimate exhaust tips. Open up this tailgate, and although it is not power, it is still pretty light, so that is fine, and you're looking at 620 liters of space. You can also fold down the second row seats, and they will fold pretty flat, giving you 1,450 liters of space. You also have this false floor, which does house your tools and also your space saver spare tire. Powering the Changan CS75 is this 1.5 liter turbocharged gasoline engine making 178 horsepower and 265 Newton meters of torque. What really differentiates this car from the rest of the competition is that most of the competition is powered by a CVT or a dual clutch gearbox, but this one still does use a conventional 6-speed automatic transmission. Here inside the Changan CS75 Plus, we check the door thud. Actually sounds pretty okay, not the best, but it is okay. And the interior of this car is simply very premium looking and feeling as well. I mean, your touch points here at the dashboard, it's so soft. It's actually softer than some European cars which cost like even 5 times the amount that this car costs. Here on the side, everything is pretty soft, and I'm really enjoying this two-tone black and red interior. First, let's go to the seats. They are incredibly plush, incredibly soft. The leather they use on this one is actually very similar to the leather that you will find with the Lexus RX 350. Even the two-tone color scheme is actually very similar to the RX, and this driver's seat is 6-way power adjustable, while the passenger seat is only manually adjustable. The perforations on it as well, just to put it out there, is also actually rather similar to that in the Lexus RX. I absolutely love it. The steering wheel has this leather wrap which is slightly shiny, gives it a more premium vibe. Some piano black on it though, could be a little bit of a scratch magnet, but multifunction, and you can tilt it and telescope it. You have a 7-inch digital instrument cluster, which actually does change depending on your drive mode. So you have Eco, you have Normal, and you also have Sport mode. To the center of everything is a 12-inch touchscreen, rather responsive actually, but it doesn't come with Apple CarPlay nor Android Auto, but you do have Bluetooth though, and you also have some sort of phone mirroring, so I think that is more than enough. The speakers in this car also sounds pretty good. Your AC switches in this one, although there isn't any physical buttons, which is a bummer, you do have these like touch sensitive buttons with haptic feedback, so that is more than enough, and it really does tell you if you've actually already pressed it, so it's rather easy to use. and your stop-start button, your push-start, is also beside that. Your shifter, though, it's a little bit bland looking, and even the feel of it doesn't really match the rest of the interior, but at least you do get manual mode. However, around it are a lot of piano black, though, more scratch magnets, an electronic parking brake, and you also have auto hold. And this car also gets a 360-degree view camera, and if you do turn on your turn signals below 30 kilometers per hour, it'll even show you the front left or the front right of your car to make sure you never ever curb your wheel. For safety, you get 6 airbags in this car, and also you do get a panoramic sunroof. While a lot of cars do give you premium materials up front, the Changan CS75 Plus continues that even towards the back. So all of these materials on the side, they are all premium feeling, very soft touch, two-tone design as well, so black and red. And for your toys back here, you do get your own armrest, although you don't get a single cup holder back here, your own air vents, and a USB port, plus of course the continuation of your panoramic sunroof. What this car absolutely excels in is space, because this car, it may be a compact car, but it really is one of the biggest in its class, and it shows here at the back. Legroom is abundant, so is headroom, and you can even recline these seats pretty far back, which is something that a lot of cars in this price range can't really do. You also get a flat floor, and since the car is relatively wide, even seating 3 people in this car is absolutely doable. So now we drive the Changan CS75 Plus, and this car is just really comfortable. I know how a lot of cars nowadays, well, they look sporty on the outside, and when you do drive them, although they are also pretty sporty driving, the trade-off for that is that it's not exactly gonna ride the best. But this Changan CS75 Plus is tuned absolutely for comfort and comfort alone. While the handling of the car is enough and it can still comfortably do some corners, you know that it's not exactly the top priority of this car. And yes, there's a little bit more body lean than most cars of its class. So if you have passengers who do get a lot of motion sickness often, then maybe this isn't a car that you want to take them to Tanay. Going back of just how comfortable this car is, if you encounter any speed bumps or potholes, the suspension just soaks up everything really well. Now, the only problem with that suspension though is that the front part is perfectly fine. It's incredibly soft. The rear part is even softer, but it feels as if you have permanently blown shocks, because it does tend to bounce like 2 or 3 times after a really big hole, which gives you this feeling of waviness. Noise-wise, if you're going in city speeds, of course, it's very quiet, but the very moment you reach around 60 kilometers per hour and when you go up to highway speeds, there is actually a significant amount of tire noise that does enter the cabin, but wind noise is perfectly subdued. The aerodynamics of this car is just perfect. Then the seats, they are also quite actually pretty damn good. I mean, the leather on this one, it's incredibly supple. The bolsterings are not too aggressive, but they are adequate in holding you in place. But if you do go for longer journeys, well, you might find the lumbar support to just be a tad bit lacking. Vibrations wise, there's really not much either, because the cabin is well put together and you don't really hear any creaks in this one. Even the leather, it doesn't really creak, although there is a little bit of vibrations that you will feel on the steering wheel as you drive this, especially if the roads are a little bit on the rough side. The Changan CS75 Plus is also perfect for city drives because the steering is incredibly light. Of course, there is zero feedback with it, but it is what it is. It is pretty much what you get for a car like this. And if you do want to tighten up your steering a little bit, but you do want to keep eco mode, for example, with the transmission tuning, you can actually go into your settings here in the center screen and you can customize it. So you want sport steering but eco transmission, or vice versa. It's all configurable just here in the center screen. Another factor that does contribute to this being a perfect city cruiser is the fact that despite this car being pretty large, that 360-degree view camera and that turn signal activated cameras on your front right and your front left does mean that even if you are driving in really tight streets, you will never ever curb your wheels. Power in this car is also more than adequate despite this car's size. What this car does not want to do though is accelerate very hard, very fast, because there seems to be a little bit of delay with the transmission if you do step on the throttle, even if you put this car into sport mode. But once it does kick in, it is very smooth. And the advantage of this car having that 6-speed conventional automatic transmission means that you don't have any of the jerkiness that you would get with the dual clutch transmissions, or also the rubber banding effect, which does get quite annoying with CVT transmissions. Fuel economy in the city, you can actually do 9.5 kilometers per liter. Totally not bad, but that is with moderate to light traffic. If traffic does get a little bit heavier, I expect that to go down to around 8 to 8.5. So let's just peg it at 8.5 maybe. Then on the highway, you can return around 13 kilometers per liter. Not the best, but it is about at par with the rest of the competition. Well, the Changan CS75 Plus is definitely not perfect. No car is. It probably is one of the best cars in its class. And not only that, but it is priced so well at 1.379 million pesos, significantly undercutting its competition and yet providing you with probably the best comfort in the class, and also the biggest size and space in the class, and you still do enjoy most of the features that the competition gets, including that panoramic sunroof, which by the way is a really great addition to keeping you awake in your drives. So if you're looking for a very comfortable and very practical 5-seater compact to mid-size crossover SUV, then you should definitely please take the Changan CS75 Plus for a test drive, and I'm sure that you will be very impressed with it.